Alright, David Harry here, and in this video I'm going to be going out and doing my first vlog with the iPhone SE. Now this particular video is going to be using just the internal app, as it were, straight out the box. So what I've done here, I've literally just switched the phone on, registered it. Now what I'm going to do is shoot off outdoors and literally just start hitting record on the app and then just go for it out of the box. So what I'm about to do here is to give people like a proper like real world kind of like, usage of the phone after you've bought it, switched it on, registered it and just gone out mad vlogging. So of course in this video there won't be any external microphones. I won't be using my 3-axis gimbal or anything like that. Literally two basic ways of using it, like that, in just in your hand, talking to the phone, blah blah, doing your usual nutty thing like that. Then also I'm going to use a little pistol grip system. So it's got one of these little Ulanzi grips on here, on a pistol grip, just to put the phone in. Also I'll be putting the phone inside one of these little cases just to keep it like a bit easier to grip. So basically what I'm pointing out here, nothing special, literally out of the box, in your hand and outdoors and on the internal mic and using its basic app. Anyway, I'll do a lot more explaining once I'm outdoors, so let me get outdoors and do this.
Okay then, so I'm outdoors, and for the first part of this vlog testing with the phone, I'm on the front facing camera, and like I said before, all of the audio will be on the internal microphones for this. So we don't have to worry about the microphones altering because it will be the same ones all the way through. I will be alternating between the cameras and also putting it on my little grip system. So right now it is just in my hand, out of my pocket, and there's my little grip system there. Now I don't want to get all down about this, but I look dead orange in the screen here. I really hope that that is not what the video looks like. I'm not going to get bogged down with this right now because I will get off indoors and I'll have a look at the stuff before I make any comments about it. Anyway, so like I say, front facing camera, just in my hand. I do have a case on it, but that's just to help me grip it and stuff. The case will not make any difference as far as picture or sound is concerned. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to move around because right now the sun was behind the camera or behind the phone. So I'm going to turn around here and let's just see what happens. Now the only thing here is I may start looking at the screen, and the other thing you have to remember here is I don't use front facing screens. I don't use flippy out screens when I do my stuff usually. I just tend to have a good sense of where I am in front of, say, a GoPro or anything that I might use in this vlog position, or indeed if I'm vlogging. Now the sun, actually I'm looking at the screen, I have to say that is very impressive. The sun is right behind me there, yet it is exposing for me, or it's trying its best to expose for me. Now what's going to happen here, as we'll see, it's going to blow out a ton of stuff in the back, but we're not bothered about that because what we're looking for is it going to expose me. Now let's see. Oh, that's going to be difficult for it. Let's see. It is, that sun is creeping just over my shoulder there. What it is, that's very, very unfair right now because where the sun is, it is pointing in the same area of the sensor where my face is. So whilst it's trying to obviously concentrate on my face for exposure, it unfortunately will be getting a bit of that right now. But I have to say, that, look at that there, right? The way it's got me exposed there is awesome. Still not too sure about the colour. I don't know about that. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just kind of turn around a little bit more with it here. And let's just see how it's coping with the background as we're moving around and see what it's doing with me to keep me like in exposure, as it were. The focus I don't think is going to be an issue, but it's more the exposure I'll be a bit more worried about with these things. Now the thing is, I'm looking at that screen and I've gone orange. I really hope that this isn't what it looks like, because this looks terrible. Anyways, what I'm going to do now is flip over onto the rear camera. All right, so I'm on the rear camera now. Let's see how this responds. Now just bear in mind here as well, the app is just the basic app that I'm using. and there's really not really much to set up on it either. So it is out of the box, as it were. So nothing has changed from switching the phone on and the app being used for the first time. And the reason why I'm doing this is because this is how most people will use, like, you know, camera apps on phones. They will tend to use the one that comes with the phone. You know, being honest, most people just don't have the time to get into, like, you know, proper dedicated apps and like learn more about like cinematography or videography and stuff like that. The vast majority of people just want to pull a phone out and use what's in it as standard, which is why I'm doing it this way. I will of course be looking at other apps and stuff for the phone, but right now just bear in mind this is the most bog standard route one way of using the phone. Also as well, when I was on the front camera, that is recording HD. It will of course be going into a 4K project, and the reason for that is because the rear camera that I'm on right now does shoot in 4K. So obviously the front camera will be getting up-res to 4K and then played back out maybe at 1080 or 720 when you're watching it on YouTube, but it'll give you a really good idea as to the differences between resolution between the front and the back camera and stuff. So what I'm going to do now is turn around again. The only problem is when I get towards that sun and stuff, I can't see what's going on. But what it was doing with the front camera, I thought it was very impressive, the way it was trying its best to expose, you know, for me being the thing in the middle of the screen, or the face that it was tracking, because it does do a track thing to your face, so it tries to know where you are for various things. Presumably that's all to do with exposure and everything, so you can just leave it in fully auto and it'll just concentrate on you, because it knows that either you're trying to vlog if you've got it on the front camera, or you might be just doing selfies and stuff. Okay, like I say, I don't know what it's doing right now because I can't see anything. So I'm just hoping that I'm somewhere like sensible in the frame, and I'm more interested to see what it's doing with all this stuff behind me. Okay, so once again, this is the rear camera and it's 4K. The whole thing is in 30p. Now the rear camera will do 60, but I'm only doing 30 because the front camera will only do 30. I will be doing a bunch of other things actually in the future to do with 30 and 60 on the rear camera. Now, what I'm going to do now is put it on the grip system. Then I'll go for a walk. Now, we don't really have amazing stabilization on the rear camera or anything here. So we'll get an idea of what it's going to be like walking. All right, so back onto the front camera again. But this time I've got the phone mounted to this little rig system that I use, and I think this is kind of like maybe it's the most basic thing you could possibly do, I think, with any phone, if you're going to use it for, like, you know, walking and filming stuff. Now, whether that be vlogging or just filming, you might be on holiday or you might be on a trip somewhere, whatever. The most basic thing I think you should do, regardless of whether the phone has any stabilization or anything like that on it, you should always use just some form of little grip system, just a little pistol grip type thing like I've got right now. And things like these, you know, you can have something like this for anywhere between 20 to 30 pounds, dollars, euros. So it's not going to set you back a ton of money. And the other thing as well, they are quite manageable, quite small. They'll fit in your pockets and stuff like that. So it's not a huge bulky system. Like the way it would be with a 3-axis gimbal or something like that. That's definitely not something that you put in your pocket and then walk out and go and do some like simple, easy stuff with. That's not happening with a big, heavy 3-axis gimbal. But basically, the way that this is working right now, I've just given myself a little bit of extra stabilization, which I absolutely do need on the front camera, because as you can see there, it's kind of all over the place. Now, the thing is, it will definitely be all over the place no matter what I do. I'm trying to kind of walk a bit steady and stuff with it, just to give ourselves an idea of, like, you know, realistically what it's going to do, without having to try and kind of, you know, play to any advantages or try to, you know, compensate for movement or anything like that. So, yeah, you know, just regular walking. This gives a proper idea over what it's doing. Now, what I'm going to do is just get down into some shade down here, because I'm still a bit worried about the colour. Okay, so I'm just in a little bit of shade here with the front camera. When I say shade, it's still bright because it's a very bright day. But what I want to see here is what's going on with the colour. I'm not going to start losing me rag and getting all bent out of shape about it right now. I'll wait until I get indoors and have a look. But if I kind of move around a little bit with it like this, let's just see what's going to go on. I mean, See where it is right now. No, I wouldn't accept that. I was going to say at a push I could probably go for that, but do you know what's really annoying me here? Look at the back there. Look how blown out the back is, right? And that's just a good clear indication that the camera's doing really well to expose for what it should be exposing on. Because if this was going for some kind of mean average or anything like that, I would be underexposed so it could bring the background down. But it's doing an amazing job for the exposure. But the color, I don't know, it may well be white balance, I'm not entirely sure. But obviously the exposure will also have a hand in how it responds with its color as well. Anyways, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get onto the reverse camera now and let's go walking and see what that does. All right, so back onto the rear camera again, back in 4K. Now what it is, I've just kind of walk somewhere else in the park to get into some shade here. And the reason for this is because, yeah, I don't want to get into it, but the colours are looking a bit mad. Again, I will hold judgment and, you know, until once I've got in and had a proper look at the stuff. But I've deliberately come somewhere within some shade here. Now, when I say shade, it's not dark. It's very bright, but it's in shade. We'll catch a little bit of sun popping through the trees here and whatnot. But I'm just really interested to see what's going to go on here as far as colour is concerned. So what I'm going to do, maybe in about 15 seconds or so, I should be back out in sun again, and we'll see exactly what happens when I go from the shade here into direct sun onto me, and how the colour goes. Because it would appear that these colour things that I think I'm seeing are quite possibly affecting the rear camera as well. Yeah, I'm trying my best. I don't want to say anything. I want to wait until I get in and look at it. Anyway, I'm about to get into some sun now. So let's see what it does. And let's see how it handles the transition for the exposure. So there we go. Direct sun right there. Now, the other thing as well, on the rear camera, we do have optical image stabilization. Now, the thing is, I'm not entirely sure, but I think there may also be some form of electronic in there somewhere as well. I think it might have an intelligent electronic on top or behind the OIS, as it were. Because in all honesty, OIS at this level, at this size and stuff, it's really designed for like stills. So when you're standing still, it just helps to take the edge off stuff. Optical image stabilization definitely doesn't usually translate to being anything that good at this size. Although, like I say, I think this may kind of back onto a little bit of electronic, once it's recorded as well. So once it's processing the video signal from the lens after the OIS, I think it might go to a bit of EIS as well. So it's going to be really interesting nonetheless to see how well, it handles the movement here and how well it stabilizes. Back into a little bit more shade here. Now, the other thing as well, unfortunately, I think the rear camera is not quite as wide as what I would personally like. Again, all these things, I'll hold judgment until I get in, because I'm going to have a little look and then do a bit of an end summary. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go and find somewhere else to see if I can go into something proper dark. And then let's see what it's like at gaining up for exposure. Okay, so where I am now then is definitely under a lot of tree cover. I mean, the sun is getting through the foliage and stuff, but it is nonetheless, really quite dark. So this should give us a really good idea for the rear camera, what it's going to be responding like as far as gaining is concerned. Because right now, we don't have any kind of battle with too much sun. Right now, there probably isn't enough sun. So, especially if I just get to where I'm going to here, right where I am right now, I'm definitely in a ton of shade here. Oh, and I've just stepped in a bunch of nettles again. Urgh. Okay, right, I'm just going to do the same thing, but on the front camera. Okay, so just quickly flipped over to the front camera in this proper real shaded area. Just going to have a quick look at the screen. I think it's exposing me quite well, and I don't think it's gone too mad with colour either. So I've got a feeling it might just be too much light exposure and possibly white balance with the mad crazy colours that's going on. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to walk through here a bit. Wait there, let me just try and avoid all these nettles. I come out and did something the other day in this park somewhere else and went through a ton of nettles with just me shorts on. I'm a complete idiot. Right, so let me just do this little walk back through where I've just walked from on the rear camera, but on the front camera. As we can see, there's definitely light up there because it's a very, very bright day. But for the best part, we are completely under tree cover here. So let me just do this and avoid all these nettles. I really either should come out with long trousers on or long socks or something. Anyways, yeah, there we go. So I think what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to walk back home. And if there's anything else to film on the way back, I'll do that. But if not, I'll just go straight to a summary now after watching the footage once I've been in.
Okay then, so end summary, and I'll be really quick here. I'm not at all happy with that footage. Now, maybe some people who've seen the stuff that I've done with the GoPro were probably looking at that thinking, oh, he's just going to flip out like a big idiot after he's watched that footage. I'm trying to keep myself contained here because there may be ways around this. There's not ways around with the footage itself there, but I may be able to find an app to do what I've just tried to do. And let's remember here what I've just tried to do, and that is use a phone, well, the iPhone SE, use it in its most simplest way, which is the way 95% of the people who've got it who want to use it for doing video, that's how they want to use it. A simple app. None of this having to set balances for anything or set exposure. Most people do not even know how to do that, let alone want to do it. So the whole point of this video was to do something which could be reproducible by anybody. Something simple, easy. Now the process itself was mega simple, mega easy. The results didn't come out well though, and all that overblown colour and, you know, yeah, the blowing out element and stuff. There was a whole ton of positives in there, do you know what I mean? But the overall exercise itself was a failure because the actual, the main selling point of the exercise being simplicity for people who don't want to go through like nutty stuff in post. On that basis, it just completely failed because you can't fix stuff like that. In fact, I think even people who've got post experience couldn't fix some of that stuff because it is broke already in the actual record and it's burnt. Anyways, yeah, I'll just carry on, Rabbit, and I'll leave it at that. It didn't work. I'm going to have to see if there's anything that I can come up with that I'd be a lot more happier with to kind of like encourage people to get into with that phone. But right now, I'd have to say using the basic app, and especially when it's really bright and sunny outside, which is usually the scenario you would want with any digital recording system, is a lot of sun. That is exactly what you normally want. It just didn't perform that well. The simple fact is this was meant to be a dead simple, easy workflow, and I'm not going to start recommending anything beyond like point and click for most people who want to do this type of stuff. So getting into any kind of manual exposure and stuff is not what this was about. And plus, you can't do it with that app anyway. It's as simple as that. Anyways, I'm going to shoot off now before I start saying things which I'm going to regret and start losing the plot and slagging off Apple and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, yeah, I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.